Welcome to the Sunday service for the Unitarian Universalist Church of Pensacola. I'm Reverend Alice Silty, and it is my privilege to serve this congregation as minister, a congregation whose mission is to celebrate diversity, strive for justice, and inspire love. When we gather, we typically reflect an area along the Florida Panhandle and the Alabama Gulf Coast. However, in today's world, we're delighted to be able to welcome you from wherever you are. If you would like to learn more about our congregation or about Unitarian Universalism, I invite you to reach out to me. I would be more than happy to talk with you. Again, welcome to our Sunday service.
What love just told me. Get into the moment. Get into the moment. Set a place at the table. Say your grace just 'cause you're able. Get into the moment. Get into the moment. As the spark ignites a flame. Holy, holy is each name. Every smile on every face is a prayer. In the dark and in the day, in the swirling Milky Way, in the miles of open space, here and there. Get into the moment. 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 From the grave to the cradle, there's only one truth, only one place. Get into the moment, get into the moment. From the walker to the stroller, meditator, holy roller. Get into the moment, get into the moment. Let the love of sun's embrace light your heart as it does your face. Let the quiet of the moon get you free. Every day is a new birth. There is magic on this earth. You can wield it if you choose to let it be. If you can get into the moment. Get into the moment. Get into the moment. Get into the moment. I'm right here in the moment. And if you feel answers are hard to find, just draw near to your own inner peace of mind, 'cause it will guide your heart if you will stand still. Get into the moment. Get into the moment. Get into the moment. Lose yourself into the moment. Love is in the moment. Peace is in the moment. Joy is in the moment. True love is in the moment. Sing into the moment. Dance to the moment. Laugh into the moment. Give your love into the moment.
Our chalice lighting this morning. A chalice lit in our midst is a symbol of our liberal faith, a faith built on the foundations of freedom, reason, and welcome, a faith sustained by acts of kindness and justice, a faith that envisions a world flourishing with equality for all people, a faith that demands the living out of goodness, a faith that requires thoughtfulness, a faith that requires wholeness. This tiny flame is the symbol of the spark of all this within each of us, by Deborah Falk. Our opening words are adapted from Thomas Merton. We are living in the greatest revolution in history, a huge, huge spontaneous upheaval of the entire human race. Not a revolution planned or carried out by any particular party or race or nation, but a deep, elemental boiling over of all the inner contradictions that have ever been. A revelation of the chaotic forces inside everybody. This is not something we have chosen, nor is it something we are free to avoid.
In the spirit of community, we light candles to share the significant milestones and transitions in our personal lives. The candles reflect our many joys and sorrows, whether or not we choose to share them out loud. As always, there are joys and sorrows that remain in our hearts yet unspoken, and one of our candles always reflects those.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning and welcome. Today I'm going to talk about justice. What is it and why is it important? After all, you sing about justice. We sing a song that says, we are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing for our lives. We know that song. We also write about justice on our walls. We embrace diversity, we strive for justice and inspire love. So we need to figure out exactly what this important thing is and how to go about striving for it and singing about it and living it in our daily lives. How does that work? This month, our theme is stories. So in the course of this conversation, I'm going to tell 3 stories, and we will be thinking about justice along with fairness, equity, and respect. First, let's fix our minds on what is and what is not justice. The picture that is frequently representing justice is that of a woman holding a scale in one hand and blindfolds across her eyes. This is supposed to mean that before the law, everyone is treated as equal. In fact, our own all men are created equal. When we look at that statement, we wonder, now in what universe are all men equal? Are we all 6 feet tall with blonde hair, blue eyes, a beautiful singing voice, and the brain of Einstein? Just look around. Is that everybody? It's certainly not me. Let me tell you a story about treating everyone as an equal. This is the first story. You may have heard it before, or a version of it. I want you to imagine a time very, very long ago when all of the animals gathered together in a clearing in the deep woods, and there was a very tall tree in the middle of this. All of the animals were gathered there because someone had said that whoever could win this contest would win a fabulous prize. When they all arrived, they were lined up in a row behind a line drawn in the dirt, and they were all told that when the lion roars, now, they were to go as fast as they could and scamper up to the top of that tree. The one who first got there would be the winner of the prize. So the lion yelled, now, and the squirrels and the cats and the lizards and the monkeys all went scampering up the tree. The fish, the turtle, the horse, and the elephant stepped forward or flapped forward, but they had no chance at the tree. When the lion asked, who is the winner of the fabulous prize? I am, twittered the bird. He had flown straight to the top of the tree, and no one could deny that he got there first. The other animals all complained loudly, no fair, no fair. But the lion asked, did everyone start at the same time? And the animals had to say, yes, they all started at the same time. And they had to admit that they started at the same moment. And the lion says, sounds fair to me, but I'm going to ask you a question. Were they all equal in ability to climb the tree? And you have to say, no. So that contest obviously was not fair. This is an example of how blind justice may not be justice or fairness at all. On the other hand, each of those animals were living beings and had beauty and talents and were worthy in other ways. And so it is with us. When we say that all men are created equal, it doesn't mean we're all alike and have all the same talents. What a boring world that would be. What I take it to mean is that we all share common humanity and should all be respected and not with blindness to the differences among us. So how does justice fit in? If everyone is treated equally before the rules and laws of that justice, is that justice? Nah, not necessarily. Let's take a human example. Say there are two kids, 15-year-old boys, and one night on a wild hare, each of these kids steals a car and takes it for a joyride just for the heck of it. The cars were abandoned, they were not damaged, and they were easily found. And both young men were caught. They were taken to jail, they were fingerprinted, they had their mug shots taken, and the judge said that each young man should return for a court date in 2 weeks and put up bail of $1,000. The one with money paid the bail, went home, went back to school, and waited for his court date. The one with no money had to stay in jail, miss school, be separated from his family and other supportive people, fall behind in school, maybe lose his job. Was that justice? Was it fair? The justice which acted blindly and meted out the same punishment to each boy actually punished the poor one much, much, much more severely than the other boy. Where does the balanced scale come in? The penalty was assigned blindly, the same for each boy. But how just? Just how fair was that? By the way, there are states in this United States that have outlawed cash bail for this very reason. It is not fair. It is not equitable. It is not just. To be really just, justice sometimes cannot be completely blind. It must take more into account than the crime and the law, because all people really are not the same. They and their circumstances may be very different. To be just, we must treat all people with love and respect. Justice, it has been said, is the public face of love. So how do we strive for justice? You've probably seen protests, maybe participated in a few, where a bunch of people get together to state that some action taken by the government or by others in power is unfair and unjust. They may carry signs that say things like, Black Lives Matter, or say her name, Breonna Taylor. That's one way to strive for justice. In that case, the protest is because the system, called justice in our country, frequently is not blind, and it seems deliberately not to respect and love Black citizens. Even their deaths may go unnoticed. Their murder may go unpunished by the government. So the protests we are familiar with are a way to strive to call attention to injustice and to call for justice. We can see wrong. We can work to right it in very visible and noisy ways. And that is one way of striving for justice. Another way is to speak up when we hear others saying things that are not true or are hurtful to others. We can make it our place to show love and respect for others, even when those around us may not. That is striving for justice, and it's not easy. It does not always make friends, but we can do it every day. Another thing we can do is to write or speak to our legislators when we see that a law is needed or that a law that has been passed is unjust. Several unjust laws were recently passed in the Florida legislature. One of them states that if someone is not in agreement with a group of protesters, then he can drive his car into that crowd and not be held responsible for the injuries he may cause. You can let your legislators know just how you feel about this law and other laws, other similar laws. Letters, email, phone calls, that too is striving for justice. Now I'm going to tell you another short story. You may have seen a drawing of it or heard this one too. There's a board fence, and behind that fence, there is a construction going on of some big building. And there are three boys who are very interested in being able to see what's going on. The tall one is able to look right over the fence and watch everything. He says to his buddies, "Wow, that's the biggest bulldozer I have ever seen." And the boy who is a little bit shorter jumps up and down and jumps up and down and maybe catches a glimpse of the action. Possibly he catches the top of the fence with his hand and is able to pull up and look for a while. But his hands get tired and he has to fall back down. The third and the shortest kid jumps up, excuse me, jumps up and down and says, "Let me see, let me see, let me see." But he's just too short. So he sits down and begins to sulk. About that time, one of the workmen in a yellow hard hat sees the problem and speaks to that little short kid who's sulking over there. "Hey kid, there are a couple of boxes over there in the corner. I bet you could find one big enough so you could stand on it and see." So the little one quits sulking, jumps up, finds himself a box, drags it over beside the other two boys, and he can see everything just like the tall boy. So after a few minutes, the middle boy, whose hands are very tired and might have a few splinters in them, goes to the other box and brings it back for himself. And then the tall one looks around and he says, "Hey, wait, no fair. They have boxes and I don't." The other two point out that he doesn't need a box because he can see without one. And their having boxes doesn't hurt him, doesn't get in his way at all. Now they can all three see. But he still grumbles about how unfair it is that the others got help when he did not. You know anyone like that? Someone who grumbles and complains when he sees someone else getting a helping hand. In the name of fairness and justice, sometimes people need a little boost just to get up even. Sometimes seeking justice means asking for help to level the playing field or keep others from being left behind. So you can seek justice or strive for justice with public demonstrations. You can write or speak to your legislators. You can practice love and respect in your everyday life. And you can join your voice to hundreds of others in Pensacola with JUST Pensacola and respectfully, strongly hold those in power to a higher standard of justice. Sometimes seeking justice means giving a kid a second chance when he's made a mistake. Civil citations instead of arrests do that. Or seeking justice may mean working to make affordable housing more available. These are issues being addressed by JUST Pensacola. As you know, JUST Pensacola is a collaboration of over 17 different congregations of various faiths in Pensacola. We have chosen two topics, the two that I have just mentioned, civil citations and affordable housing. Those two issues to address with the strength of all of our hundreds of voices. Our congregation at UUCP is an enthusiastic supporter of this work. As a show of our commitment, many of us attended the Nehemiah Action on May the 3rd. We will be participating in the research to make our next demands come to fruition. And today, we will be donating our 5th Sunday offering to JUST Pensacola. Your opportunity to work for justice comes as soon as today's offering. Please give generously. As individuals and as a congregation, we work in many ways to embrace diversity, strive for justice, and inspire love. Amen, and blessed be.
This Sunday is the 5th Sunday of the month. UUCP has a practice that we call Share the Plate. Share the Plate means that the offering for this particular Sunday will go to a nonprofit within our community. Our social justice team chooses the nonprofits, and they have chosen JUST Pensacola. JUST Pensacola is organized with several congregations and churches within the Pensacola area. The focus for JUST Pensacola this year is on housing and criminal justice. We are very proud that we're part of this group, and we are asking you to be generous in your giving to help with the work to improve our greater community. The video screen that you'll see will give you text information to make your contribution, or the address of the church if you choose to send a check for the offering. Please consider this request with generosity in your heart. Thank you.
closing words are by Wayne B. Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard. The path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone.
We'll build a land where we bind up the broken. We'll build a land where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness dissolves all mourning. Oh, we'll build a promised land that can be. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll build a land where we bring the good tidings to all the afflicted and all those who mourn, and we'll give them garlands instead of ashes. Oh, we'll build a land where peace is born. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll build a land building up ancient cities, raising up devastations from old, restoring ruins of generations. Oh, we'll build a land of people so bold. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. Come build a land where the mantles of praises resound from spirits once faint and once weak, where like oaks of righteousness stand her people. Oh, come build the land, my people we seek. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by